The topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the host and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Inarticulate speech, inarticulate speech of the heart. Inarticulate speech, inarticulate speech of the heart. Inarticulate speech, inarticulate speech of the heart.
Hello, and welcome to It's Your Voice, the show that hosts enriching conversations in diversity. My name is Bahia Yaxon. I am a core alignment coach, an emotional wisdom training specialist, and have been a diversity educator for many, many years. I'm honored to have a show where every week I get to have an amazing conversation that teaches me new things, new insights from different perspectives. I want to first thank our sponsor before I introduce our guest, Calvin Handy, who is a great supporter of the show, has been a guest a few times, and has a consulting business for public safety, strategic planning, and response. You can find him on linkedin.com/Calvin-Handy. And he's an amazing human being helping schools and other organizations prepare for dealing with and hopefully preventing gun violence and other forms of violence. So thank you so much, Calvin Handy. I also want to thank NJ Mavondo, who's a great friend who helped me find a guest tonight when she had to reschedule. She'll be a future guest. And thanks to her and thanks to Juan Miranda, I have a new guest who just has had like maybe half an hour to say, oh yeah, okay, I will step in and I will do this. And I can't wait to meet you, really, which will be on the show. And what I know is that you're a professor at UC Davis of Spanish. You also are a playwright, and then you write plays in both Spanish and English, and a musician, a radio show producer, an artist, a painter, and I can't wait to hear how you use your art to for your activism, because I understand you have you're also an activist. So please join me, Juan, and thank you so much for showing up on a short notice tonight.
Hi, thank you for having me. I want to do a fe de ratas. I am a professor, but I got my PhD from UC Davis, but I'm not teaching at UC Davis currently. I'm teaching for Sac State University.
Thank you for the correction. Yeah. Appreciate that.
But I love Davis.
I'm sure Davis loves you. What else do you want to add to your introduction? Anything that I left out, or that's because I really like to know what matters to you, so we can start there.
I'm a father, so that matters a lot right now. Yeah, it's more difficult than a PhD, or it's like another PhD on its own.
Yeah. Yes.
And I'm a football player, and football with feet, and well, I'm a community member. I guess I'm part of the group.
Wonderful. Yeah, real football.
Well, I don't want to say real or unreal or surreal. Different football. I had some Irish friends, and they have a football that doesn't look like any of these last two. So it's another football.
Interesting. Can I ask how many children you have?
I have two.
I have two as well. I have two. Mine are now young adults. So
Yeah,
I
mine
and you're
are
also
very minor.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, I said that mine are very minor, really, really
Okay.
minor.
So, there's so much I want to ask you about. I'm curious, like, can you tell us about your plays? Like, and what kind of let's start with like the fact that you're a playwright and author, like, and what are the messages that you're communicating through them?
Well, oof, there's a lot going on there. I I acted I acted here in different plays, um, in Spanish and English. Um, I acted Cervantes, modern, I guess, really plays of the time of Shakespeare in Spanish, um,
Hmm.
and modern plays. The one that I wrote was, well, it was not, let's say, it was a contemporary type of play where it was taking place in the 90s in Argentina, and there was a flashback to now that the World Cup is coming. It was a flashback to the day of the World Cup of 1978. There was a coup d'etat in Argentina at that time.
Mm,
Uh, so it was revisiting those um, difficult moments for
mm,
Argentina,
wow.
um, mixed with football um, all together. And there was something universal that about the characters that it was important. So they were let's see, not real, but real like,
Hmm.
and at the same time, um, I mean, convey this message to. It was like it was for the 40 years uh, of the victims. Basically, it was an honor to the victims.
Mm,
So it was it was difficult to treat violence. Violence was very difficult. Um, and
mm,
also to have humor at the same time where um it, I mean the play didn't want people to go home and cry. They wanted to make the audience think really strong about uh, what happens, and things that we don't sometimes see on day basis, but they're happening somewhere, and we have to be um, awake about these situations. This is your daughter can be the next one. So I mean that play was about that, and there were some trivialities about small towns. I'm from a small town.
mm,
I grew up in a small town in Argentina, so small towns have a lot to say um,
mm, mm.
about humanity.
That's
Yeah, you
true.
see, everything is concentrated, so all those effects play a big role in human relationships.
Wow, sounds very powerful. Is it a play people can access?
Yeah, actually, the only thing that yeah they have there's a YouTube video of the play, um,
Wow.
and there is also a little book only in Spanish. I haven't really translated the play. Um, it would be a good thing to do, I think, to make it more accessible. So far,
And so what could someone like what's the title if someone wanted to go on YouTube and search for it? How would
it's called Mamá Grandes Funerales. So, and it's also a play on words of there's a short story by Gabriel Garcia Marquez um, that is called Los Funerales de la Mamá Grande. So it's kind of a play on words of this story as well. It
wow.
communicates with with other with many other poems, short stories, um, other plays. It makes fun of Don Juan. Um,
Wow.
I mean, in the meantime, where everything is happening, there's like all these details.
Wow. Sounds
But
like
yeah,
sounds very well researched with a lot of different literary references.
and I mean, I think it was also a really good way to study, um, to remember things. In like, well, you do a PhD, you have to remember. So by doing this, I think it's a really good mnemonic game of having the pieces, who said what, in what context. um
Mm.
I don't know, I think it helped me a lot too, to have these different um honors. Thank you for that. Thank you for this, and honoring other writers that came before and help
Mm.
us out, you know and also criticizing certain other um actions, I guess, uh, of history, or in general, that could be criticized.
Yeah,
And
I'm sure it was has a critical comment to make
yeah, well, yeah, it was
about a historical event.
yeah, I wanted to, to be very critic about things that kind of shine so much that blind us.
Mm.
And I love football myself.
Great.
But there's a um, on my website, there's a link that says performance, and there's some plays that I've done and other videos there as well. So
Oh,
people
great.
can have access. Yeah, that would make it
And
the
okay.
easiest, I think.
And so your
The
website is okay. I know
Sorry.
there's a banner, but for listeners who are not viewing, who are just listening to the podcast, um, your website is this correct? Is at the whole usual
Yes,
www.juanemiranda.com.
yes,
That's where they can find your
there's.
books.
Mhm.
Okay, great. And now Bamba Fried Rice, I see you have another website. Is that your part of your musical world? Is that related to your
That
band?
is a very important part of, yeah, music. Music is very important, and we have I participate. Let's see, in, in a band, and it's a lot of fun, and I get to play music and have fun with it. Yes, actually, I
Oh,
think that band has helped so many people reach their PhDs in some moment of their lives.
you mean the other members of the band?
No, I'm talking about the community.
Oh.
Yeah, you see all these faces, you know, almost ready to give up, and all of
Oh,
a sudden, this energy kind of like change. It's like, okay, just kidding, do it, let's do this.
wow. Sounds inspiring.
And yeah, I think it's
And what kind of
important.
I mean, I'm guessing, but can you describe some of the music, like the type of music by a band
Well, we
called Bump?
do, um, we do Latin sounds, and rock, and reggae, cumbia, ska,
Wow.
very energetic music, and some salsa play.
Wow. Had we had
And
more
there's
time
a spoken word. Uh-huh. Sorry.
oh, spoken word? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a spoken word. That's my grain of that's my seed. That's
Mm,
how I cooperate the most, I guess.
mm. Well, I was just gonna say, had we had any time to prepare, we would have played a clip, but, um, so and you also paint, and you also produce a radio show? Kind of a renaissance man.
Paint,
And it
well, the painting part is tricky because I really I don't paint. I make I work as a I do graphic artistry, which is
mm,
kind of a different way of painting if you want. I mean, I wouldn't consider myself a painter. Um, my dad was he was a an art teacher, therefore um yeah, he will be more of a painter. I think I'm not a classic painter, let's say. But well, not this semester, because it kind of coincides with my times and I have a baby. So I said, we're gonna wait one semester for the show. But yes, I interview people in Spanish and English, um, in from the community, professors, workers, students, anybody. Everybody has always a fascinating story to learn from, and they might not think so because they're so used to it that they don't see it. Um, but I think for even for my, I mean, for myself, um, I'm really glad to know these things about people that I probably know them for a long time and I didn't know this because I never ask them these questions when I see them, if
mm.
that makes any sense. I'm like, wow, I didn't know you did that. That's awesome. That's amazing. And it's a lot of fun. Yeah, and also I started that with the idea of bridging some of the work that was done um, in the Spanish and Portuguese department at UC Davis, because there was a lot of fascinating information and work people did, but it kind of ended there. It was like there, and this is a public school, so therefore, that information should be shared with the public. No, I mean this is kind of
Yeah.
a give and take type of thing. So I started interviewing people from the department about what they did and to share with people in Davis in general in the town and or YOLO because it kind of now I think the antenna is down, but usually um, I mean it's a great source of communication. I think and it worked, and I continue. And these people, I mean, they told me about their friend. You shouldn't, why you shouldn't interview this person. I'm like, okay, let's interview. And so I meet a lot of people with fascinating stories, um, investigating things that are also fascinating. Especially my background is language and literature, um, but I interview people that was working with the DNA of um, maize or tomatoes or yeah, engineers or immunologists or very random, but they have something to share, which is wonderful. I think.
I totally agree. It is fascinating. Do you have a like standard questions you ask people? Like what's like one of the your favorite questions to ask someone when you're interviewing them?
Well, I kind of make it on the go.
Mhm.
I mean, I want to have a conversation,
Yeah.
and I always have. I ask people to send me a little bio, That's kind of my ace of hearts. Because then I know a little bit of things about them, and I want to know more. So what is this? How? And also, most of the interviews um, are in person or were in person. Yeah.
Mm,
So there
that's nice.
is a time and moment of um, connection. So
Yeah.
tell me the road to tonight. Like, where did it start? Like, what did it went through? And wow, surprise! Yeah,
That's a
how
great
is it?
one.
Mhm.
Wow. Well,
And yeah,
can I ask you that now? Like,
wow.
where did it start for you? How did you become you mentioned your father was a musician, but how did you become so interested in expressing yourself through like multiple uh, mediums?
Um, well, games. Um, I think it started kind of when you're very young and they let you play. Let you play. So playing is fun, um, I guess. And I always like, if it's not football, it's music, it's the game aspect, which is kind of a happy way to learn to, I mean, to survive, basically, and to be alive. I mean,
Mm.
I won't, yeah, I want to have fun in the meantime. I guess everybody, uh,
Did you grow up in Argentina and come here as an adult, or did you come here as a younger person?
I had, I was, yeah, I have a different experience with, I'm actually Texan, but I was born in Texas and my family moved to Argentina
I see.
when I was like 11 months or something like that. So, not my decision. And I grew up undocumented in Argentina,
Mm.
uh-huh. Which for most of my life I didn't understand what that was,
Hmm.
other than I don't know, my mom didn't let me go play in um, international tournaments, for example, because she was afraid I
Mm.
would be, I don't know, deported to the US and she was in Argentina. Um, or not getting grants. Um, and I was the top student.
Hmm.
When I learned that I couldn't get grants, things went like, okay, then I don't care.
Hmm.
I'm not gonna put so much effort in it. And then yes, I came back to the US and finished high school. And it was very different from Argentina. I went to Utah, which is very different in general.
You went to where for high school?
Utah,
Oh, oh wow, that's very different from Texas. Also, not that you remember Texas because you were only 11 months old when you left. Yeah.
I went back to Texas later, but as an adult and rode horses just because.
Oh, did you?
Of course, why not?
Well, what kind of writing? I mean, what kind of writing did you do? Like,
Well, I grew up with horses in Argentina as well, so
okay.
I prefer kind of the. I was learning that polo people also write this way, which is one hand writing. Like that's my favorite.
Was
And
it
I have my
in a
other
Western
three.
saddle or in a Western saddle versus an English style saddle?
None of the above. Um,
Oh,
I prefer the. No, they're too hard. The Western, yeah, yeah. I don't. I like the gaucho style. If You ask me. Yeah, it has more cushioning. Or or no saddle. No saddle is okay. I can,
That I
but
that to me takes so much more balance, no saddle. Like, watching people ride, bareback, I'm always like, "God dang, that is really you're really balanced and you got some real core strength to do that."
well, sometimes if you don't know how to ride with a saddle, it could be more dangerous because you're unbalanced yourself.
That's
You're
true.
not paying it. I mean, you're concentrating in putting your feet somewhere rather than knowing. I mean, feeling the movements of the horse. Horses are really smart. They
They're
can,
really intelligent.
yeah. If they don't like you, they'll let you know. Yeah,
That's really true.
yeah. But they're really nice too. They can take you home while you sleep on top of them.
Yeah, 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 with when they trust you, they're amazingly loyal friends.
Yeah, and I always walk home. They know where they get fit.
True. They
You know,
always walk up.
that was
So
very fun.
so what, I mean, I really know nothing about being an undocumented person in Argentina, and, um, that alone opens a whole new world to me that's into the threat of being, of course, for any mother, no matter where you are, the threat of your child being deported away from you would be absolutely terrifying. And
Well, yes, it is. I mean, and for the father as well.
poor father, yeah,
I
any
mean,
any family member.
that is. Mhm. I mean, it's something to live with certain fear. Fear is dangerous.
Mm,
Fear can be devastating. Um, if you don't live in fear, then, or if you haven't, therefore, it's hard for you to understand completely what it could be. Um, but it's a very strong thing. And I had many friends I've compared, and it's not. I mean, for me, for my experience, I think you don't really think about it because you're from there. You grew up there. You speak. You have the same accent. You are just somebody else. Now, for legality or for then that is you have to do. Yeah, you have to work a lot more than everybody else to get a third of the benefits. Like, for example, this is kind of funny, but in Argentina, when you have the best grades of all your, I don't know, undergrad or not undergraduate, elementary and middle school, then you get to hold the flag. That's kind of an honor, right? And you go to parades and things, and you represent your school. And well, I was that person. And so they had this dilemma. It's like, okay, this guy is Texan and he's holding, representing the Argentine flag. They,
mm.
at the beginning, they didn't let me do it. And I'm like, dude, that's so unfair. It's like, that's not, uh, whatever. Uh, then I did it. Then there was a clause if you were like the son or daughter of Argentines, therefore you can wear the flag, something like that. And I took the flag. And at the end, um, it was an honor at the beginning, but sometimes was more like of a burden. You're
Mm.
13 years old. We went to mass or, you know, a parade that is really boring and really long. and you have to be there. Like, oh, not again. Like, no, I'm sick. And some other parades that you walk, probably more fun. But there's some parades that just people stand there, and at that moment, older people talk, and they're really boring, and they do all this boring stuff. You want to be out playing, not listening to old people talk about things. So yeah, So high school, I changed completely my strategy. It's like, no, I'm not doing this again.
So you got out of it.
Yeah, like I won't get grants. Yeah, even if I try to go to school. I mean, in Argentina, public school is more accessible in terms of tuition. Um, Maybe it's inaccessible in other ways, because even if you didn't have tuition, if you have to move somewhere else, and you have to rent, and you have to eat, and things that are important for students, and for the instructors, and for everyone. I think even now that there's a strike in Davis and Berkeley. Students wanna get a little bit better treatment on their work, and there's things are more expensive now, and
Yeah,
rent is expensive,
very expensive.
housing is really expensive, and now food and gas, which is what people use mostly. And
Yeah, I'm sorry, didn't mean to cut you off. I was just going to throw in that the strike is statewide, all the UCs, all the universities of California. And
yeah, I didn't know it was statewide.
The graduate students, yeah.
But I've been in that situation, and it's not easy. It's not fun to not be able to pay for rent, or do the rent at least, and decide, okay, am I gonna buy that book? And you become creative, for sure.
Well, you certainly have. I'm curious if you can tell us something about your like photography, and does it, like, are you just seeing, because I've never seen it, like, are you, like, do you focus on is there things you set up? Do you focus on elements in nature? Do you focus on people? Like, what's the subject of your photography, and are you trying to convey a message, like, related to your concerns for the world?
Well, some of the photography that I've done, it looks for an anomaly, or that arrow, an arrow. So even as a reflection, but something that breaks the background. I have family photography too. That it's whatever.
And what does that mean? I mean, that does sound kind of like cathartic, but, like, what does it mean to you? Like, why does that draw your interest, and why do you try to capture that in a photograph?
Well, I think it's mainly because of the aesthetics. It's kind of an aesthetic approach. Also, there's people really like lists of things, and me included. I am, or something that breaks the image. For example, I don't know, a close-up on a bench. It has many some things. The list of things, it's aesthetically pretty, I don't know, people, it's like looking at the fire. Um, who doesn't like to look at the fire? Something that is amazing. Um, and it's fire. You know, it's the most basic thing, but it's just pleasing. Um, and I think those or things that break, for example, you have something very plain and you have this enormous tree that breaks the, I mean, it's just one thing and nothing else. On the contrary, it's not nothing else. You know, you have the whole sky, you have
Mm.
the whole ground, but that thing is what is the breaking the image apart in one. I don't know. It's kind of I haven't really think about it,
That's
but thank you
interesting.
for asking.
Are they photographs that you show? Like, are they accessible? I don't know if you have them if you've shown them in art galleries, if you have them in a book, because I know that NJ said you're also an author, or if they're on your website. How would people
You
find
know, I
your?
haven't really, I haven't really. I made an expo some time ago with images, but it wasn't really. It was very few photography. I don't. I'm kind of jealous with my photography. I don't really, or I haven't had the time to take more advantage of it. Um, yeah, I'm mainly save it, keep it for myself, and maybe I share some pictures very randomly. Um, but yeah,
What,
I haven't. Sorry, go
I'm
ahead.
curious. I don't know how long you've been taking photographs, but do you use certain kind of camera or different cameras?
My mom was a photographer, and
Hmm.
so I started very young, like with her old Canon. I don't even remember what it was. Um, finding, I don't know, going, taking pictures and birthdays and things like this, and that's how I did my Sunday. Go get the money from people that hadn't paid their photographs. I was very insistent. Yeah. At the end, they pay me just because that way I didn't come anymore. Like happy, happy to be back. And then I just started taking pictures. I haven't really concentrated too much on, I guess I've been trying new things all the time, new cameras. Um, I haven't invested that much in photography lately, rather than personal photography, things that I want to, again, not thinking with the objective of presenting in an expo, for example, or to sell. I haven't basically sell um, my photography, which is, I don't know if it's smart or not, but again, I'm kind of jealous with the pictures, and I just share it with friends and things like that. Um, but yeah, I write as well, and every project is time. Every
I was going to
single
ask,
project is time.
yeah, once you become a parent, that time carving out the time is a little more challenging, or a lot more challenging.
Yeah,
And so, are you
yeah.
now focused on writing? Is that like I mean, you probably play music regularly, I'm guessing. I don't know, but what would you say? Do you have a main focus? And is it writing now? And
Well, music is it's one of the main focuses. I think I want to keep that alive. That brings joy, and I'm learning it. I mean, it's fascinating sound, and I mean the behind the. Um, I mean, coordinating this um, interview, everything that happens behind is fascinating because
Mm, it's true.
the cables, this cable, that cable. Uh, we are like last time we played, I think we were 12 playing. That was
Mm,
interesting. Actually, that was fascinating. It raised interest. Um, and I mean, sound is such an art because it's not just going there and singing. You have There's so much preparation.
mhm.
Musicians don't get paid what they should get paid.
That's
You
true.
just see, somebody that comes and performs, and you love it. Oh, wonderful! But behind that, coordination. Imagine 12 people, like when to rehearse, where, uh, what, if you're creating, what is there, how many tempos. That plus what is microphone, where what cable goes to where, how much intensity of the sound. All this, I mean, it's just fascinating in writing. But teaching right now is taking also, it takes a lot of time. Um, there's responsibility in showing people and correcting all these things that we get paid for. Um, it's important. Feedback, make it make make quality time with people that want to learn something. That's important.
Mm,
And to do that, you have to invest time.
yes, you do.
So, and the fun thing is to do all these things and have, you know, joy doing.
That's amazing. Yeah. And that it is, it's, I mean, just the act of creating is joyful. And then when you have like something you're pursuing it, like in the photograph or in the play or in the corrections of the paper, just gives you, it just can feed you, right? Can give you the energy to.
Hmm. Yeah, and beauty is everywhere. Um, so, I mean, whatever it feels, I mean, yeah, I think it's like if you use it like as fuel for something, then wonderful. I think that's a good way to put it. The good and the bad and the ugly and the pretty, everything. Um, use it
Yeah,
as fuel for something. I think that's very rewarding.
beauty is everywhere. And it's nice that you find it in many mediums. Well,
Yeah, and everybody can find it.
yeah, and everyone can find it. I meant to ask a while ago, although I can guess the reason, but I'm curious what brought you to Davis or UC Davis
It, yeah, a PhD. That was my
particular
and
program, yeah, to
yeah.
study.
Actually, I was not gonna do a PhD, but then I had a major professor. I did my a master's in Reno at UNR, and
Mhm.
yeah, he tricked me into this. Yeah, it's like, it's like okay, it's close. You know, no, and it's a beautiful little town. I The first day I came, where I stayed in this hotel apartment to check out the university, and right in front there was this cafe called Delta of Venus, and they had a fire there. That night there were people playing instruments around the fire, having so much
Mm.
fun. I'm like, this is the place. Okay, I'm going. Here.
Cool, but yeah, it was a sign that drew you here. Well, we just have a couple more
Yeah, that
minutes,
was
so I
nice.
wanted. I'm sorry. Did it cut you
That's
off?
it. That was wonderful.
Sounds like it. I'm just curious if you can kind of summarize or just pick like a message for, like, as we're closing, like something for people to think about, whether they're activists or artists or, people who do activism through art. What are
I
some
was thinking in artivism.
artivism?
Activism. Hashtag. Hashtag activism.
Okay.
Well, that they don't. I would like to say to all these people that keep doing what you're doing, because you don't know who is listening. You don't know who is watching, and maybe there is a new genius out there. No, it doesn't have to be big. It can be very little. It is listening, and it gets fired up by your actions and turns into a great, I don't know, discovers the cure of AIDS, or becomes the next Mozart. You never know. So keep doing it.
I love that.
Yeah.
Keep doing what you're doing. Keep doing it. And we have no idea who may be listening and who might be sparked and inspired and then create something else that can perhaps contribute even more. Or who knows how powerful what you create contributes.
Yeah, maybe you open one door and
yeah.
Thing.
Well, thank you so much. Will you mention your website address again so people can go check you out as we're about to wrap up?
Yes, it's www.juanmiranda.com. And if you want to check the website of the band, it's bombafriedrice.com. They're always working on this too. So be patient. Thank you.
Yeah. Yes, this is perpetual work. Yeah, and I can't wait to go to YouTube and look for one of your plays or more. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you showing up, and I would like to thank you and NJ again, and also our sound engineer DJ and our producer Dean Piper. And thank you to the viewers and listeners. Be sure to tune in next Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time to It's Your Voice on W4CY.com and Talk 4 TV. And may we all have enriching conversations in diversity this week.
Inarticulate speech of the heart. Inarticulate speech, inarticulate